All right, so let's take a look at Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is all about arrays. And when you're thinking about arrays, kind of an easy way to think about it is they're just basically a list. So you're going to have a list of something, and we'll be dealing with different types of arrays throughout the next, really the next several weeks. This chapter is an introduction into it, get to learn some basics about arrays, and then next chapter we get into searching and sorting and that kind of stuff. So we'll get to play around with arrays for several weeks. So I hope you enjoy them. They're really powerful, so I think you guys will like playing with them once you kind of get the hang of them. So I wanted to go over. I put the whole chapter, whole chapter 7 of it is available in Canvas, but we are definitely breaking it up over 2 weeks. And so I wanted to just kind of go over with you some of the things that you'll see and give you an idea of what we'll be doing. So as you take a look at this first section, you'll see, we have My Programming Lab. Don't forget about that. So the My Programming Lab piece is open for the entire chapter, so you'll see the whole thing is open. But for the first week, we're only doing these sections here. So we've got that in there, and then you'll see as you go through. Remember when I'm breaking up the PowerPoints, I really just kind of set them up and like I'm teaching them in the lab. I actually don't have any in the lab C++ classes this semester, but I would use the same setup here for this. So at the end of the first day, so if this was like a Tuesday Thursday class, the first part, you'd want to cover this little section here. So we'd cover 7.1 to 7.3, and then go ahead and do these three programs. And you can see those in there. So you'd set that up, and then at the end of the next time, like maybe what Thursday or whatever it might be, then you'd go ahead and finish out and get through section 7.7. That'd be the last section for this particular week, so this first week, and then you've got a couple more problems here. So as you're going through these, don't forget, scrolling down. They're in the PowerPoints as well, but you've got some video links. So I would highly recommend watching the video links for these. You've got, especially for week 2, this one, I mean, once you get the hang of these, you'll be okay. And then week 2, this video is a little bit longer on the two-dimensional arrays. It's from one of the co-authors. I think it's around 16 minutes or so, but it's really a pretty good video, so I'd highly recommend that. I didn't actually assign you this problem, but I went ahead and included the author's video for it, just in case you're curious. I didn't like the problem as much as some of the others, so anyway, but I put the link in there as well. So anyway, you've got that piece in there. So as you're finishing up week 2, you'll finish up with these programs, finish out My Programming Lab. And then the next week, when you jump into this, you'll step into 7.8, which and then finish out this particular chapter. And then you've got just a few programs in here. You've got 3 that will go along with that. And let's see if I scroll down here to this little piece. So the end of into the first day of the second week, we'd have this little section in here, and then these 3 programs, and then you'll see vectors. So at the very end of the chapter, you'll finish up with using vectors. And there's a couple of programs that go along with that, and one section of My Programming Lab that actually has quite a bit in there. So, definitely take a look at the MyLab stuff before you get into doing these 2 programs. I think it'll help you a little bit. So, anyway, I highly recommend. Once again, I know I already said it, but the videos here to be able to help you out a little bit, and then make sure you're using the links as they appear in the PowerPoint, because they will be taking you to active code, and you can mess around with them. Now, just like with other things, I would recommend. In fact, let me just click on this. Like this first one here, where the link is for program 7.1. This will go into the visualizer app, pythontutor.com. Highly recommend doing things that way, and especially when you're setting up your programs, you might want to do that. Remember, you can do that, and it will work just fine as long as you don't ask for user input. So you're hard coding the values in the array and that you happen to be messing with, and then it will work fine. But it will help you, especially at the beginning, walk through how the arrays are working. So as you're looking in the section next to where this piece is, you'll be able to see how things work. So just to give you an idea, here I clicked on that first link for that programming example 7.1. And as you step through this, you'll see as soon as you establish a list in the visualizer, so we've got this little piece here, we're going to go ahead and you notice it puts this stuff up here so that we can see, oh, okay, well, here's num employees. We've got we've got going on here. We haven't set any of this stuff yet, but we'll have hours for all this stuff. And as you step through, you'll see as things are set up, it will show you the values in here. So each one of these will change as I'm stepping through. So that way, when you're modifying these later, you'll see the values changing live here behind the scenes before you see it on the output. So highly recommend using Python Tutor to kind of get you started. Remember, you can always just go back to edit this code and just highlight your code and copy and paste it and put it in Repel and save it in the cloud that way too, which of course is a great way of doing it. But as you're messing around with things, I'd highly recommend doing this until you get to where you're doing an input. In fact, you can see in this one, this has the input just commented out. So you can mess with that as you get into REPL. But anyway, when you're first starting, highly recommend using Python Tutor for this part, the visualizer there. All right, so have fun with arrays, and when you get to vectors at the end, and you get to use vectors, you'll see some of the benefits of using vectors, and it makes it kind of fun to mess around with it, especially when you get to that point, because you'll understand the difference as you see what vectors could do. So anyway, have fun, and let me know if you have any questions.